Hey guys, Jared Wesley here of Live Traders, and I'm back for another video lesson. And this topic, guys, is something that I've never talked about before because my inbox is getting inundated, flooded. In fact, I don't know that I've ever received so many emails on one topic, and that topic is Bitcoin. You heard me. Bitcoin. And you guys that have watched my videos know that I don't talk about digital currency or Bitcoin very often. And as you guys also know, it's all the rage right now. I mean, Elon Musk is out there with Dogecoin. You have Cathie Wood. You have Jim Cramer. Heck, you even have Ray Dalio of Bridgewater Associates, one of the largest hedge funds in the world, saying he would prefer Bitcoin over actual government bonds. Even Carl Icahn, the billionaire investor, is talking about Bitcoin. I mean, it's like this is everywhere you turn, Bitcoin. Your Uber driver's talking about Bitcoin. Your mom and dad are talking about Bitcoin. So what the heck is going on with Bitcoin? And obviously, this isn't a brand new thing, but it's been in the news and the media a lot recently. So I wanted to talk to you guys today and say, you know what? Is Bitcoin, whether it's Ethereum, whether it's Dogecoin, I mean, there's a lot of different coins out there. Is this a good investment? And as you guys know, I am a chart trader. So in a few minutes, we're going to take a look at the charts. But I wanted to go over a couple things before we look at the chart. So the charts can take you only so far, right? Entry, stop, target, etc. And we'll look at that. But I want to kind of inform you a little bit for those that might just be getting into Bitcoin. And some of you out there might even know more about Bitcoin than I do, okay? But you look at Bitcoin, and there are some concerns about Bitcoin, and there are things that people like about it. One of the things that people like about Bitcoin is what? It's deregulated. There's no centralized currency for Bitcoin. It's out there in the ether somewhere, so to speak, if that makes sense, right? So somebody can't come over and just steal your Bitcoin from you. Okay, so when you think about Bitcoin, that's one of the most positive things that people like about it. The government's not going to tax it because, well, they don't even know about it. But the problem with not knowing about it is that if you mess up, it's gone, right? We see somebody lost $10 million of Bitcoin because he threw his hard drive away. Think about that for a second. He threw his hard drive away. Well, it's probably pretty unlikely that if you had a stack of $10 million in $100 bills, that you'd throw that away. Right? There's no FDIC insurance for Bitcoin. Now, again, this is the argument on both sides. That's awesome. That's why people like it. But the flip side of that is there's no protection. There's no FDIC protection. If you forget your password in Bitcoin, there's a good chance you're not going to get it back. You might throw out a hard drive like some silly people do and lose millions of dollars in Bitcoin. It's been a very speculative market. The other thing to consider here, guys, is it's not based on anything. Nothing. Okay, you know, we used to have the gold standard when it comes to dollars, right? That's how we valued the dollar. We haven't been on the gold standard in probably 50 years now. But the point simply is the world values dollars. Okay, so there's value in that because people value it. Well, with Bitcoin, the only thing people value is the idea that it's going to continue to go higher. And the reason they think it's going to go higher is because it's becoming more widely accepted. Elon Musk, Ray Dalio, Carl Icahn, etc., and so forth. Okay, so the question there is that enough? Is Ray Dalio liking Bitcoin enough? Is Elon Musk liking Bitcoin? Is that enough? Because otherwise, it's just your opinion about Bitcoin versus my opinion about Bitcoin versus someone else's opinion about Bitcoin in terms of if it has any intrinsic value whatsoever. And at the moment, it really has no value. It's just people saying, hey, I think it's worth X, so that's what I'm going to buy for. But it's not backed by anything. If you go and buy Apple stock or Microsoft stock or anything like that, okay, it's backed off iPhone sales. It's backed off computer sales or operating system sales. There's something you can base it upon. Okay, Amazon, you have your quarterly earnings reports because they sold X number of products or cloud space or whatever it is. What's for Bitcoin? There isn't anything that it's based upon. And the other area of Bitcoin that's a big time concern moving forward, especially for all you greenies out there, is it's massively terrible for the environment because China, for example, is responsible for 75%. You heard me correctly, 75% of all the Bitcoin mining that goes on in the world, okay? What is most of that Bitcoin mining? Where does that energy and power come from? Coal. We all know that coal is not exactly the cleanest way to produce energy, and China represents 75% of Bitcoin mining, and they use coal for the vast majority of that Bitcoin mining. Hence, why Elon Musk is backing off a little bit, because it's pretty damn hypocritical, if you ask me, to sit here and say we're an EV company and we're non-polluting the planet, and he's sitting here buying $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, Dogecoin, whatever. Well, that doesn't sound very green or environmentally friendly to me. So you're going to have a crisis of conscience if you want to buy Bitcoin and you care about the environment. Like if your left hand tingles when you vote, you're going to have a real hard time being a Bitcoin owner. Okay, and here's another interesting fact for you that many of you probably didn't know. It's estimated by the year 2024, okay, that's not very far, that's 3 years away, that China's Bitcoin mining alone, just their Bitcoin mining energy consumption, the consumption of energy it takes to mine Bitcoin, will be the 12th largest energy consumer on the planet. Think about what I just said. Just their Bitcoin mining sector within 3 years will consume as much energy as the 12th largest energy consumer in the world. That's not running anything else in their economy, just mining Bitcoin. Whew. So I know everybody wants to get rich and they want to get rich quick and they think maybe Bitcoin is the future. But they're going to have to come up with different and better and more efficient ways to mine it if it's going to be sustainable, okay? Because otherwise you're just being a hypocrite. Now I understand a lot of people don't mind being a hypocrite when money's involved. If they can make more money, they'll be a hypocrite. Our government does it all the time, right? So I guess we're all that way to a little bit. My point I'm making though is you're going to have a real existential problem if you care about the environment. You go out and buy yourself a Tesla and tell everybody how much you care, and then you're buying Bitcoin or mining Bitcoin. That's a bit of a problem if you ask me. So those are some of the concerns about Bitcoin. All right. Now the question then is it a good investment, right? Is this something that you should invest in? Well, I have a couple concerns with it before I get to the chart. Not environmental concerns, not whether Ray Dalio likes it or not, but think about this, guys. In certain coins, the vast majority of those coins are owned by a very small number of people, okay? There are some coins that up to 40% of the coin base is owned by 5 or 10 people. What does that mean to you? What that means is the market for that particular coin could be highly manipulated if 1 or 2 of those people decide to sell even 10% of the coin that they have. Well, that's a major, major problem. If somebody out in the world decides to sell their vast majority of dollars they have, unless it's China or America or Europe, it's not a big problem. If there's an individual, if Bill Gates decides to sell dollars, it's not really going to affect the US dollar that much, right? It's not going to devalue the currency that much. Bitcoin, that's not the case. So again, very speculative, and a large portion of coins are owned by a very small number of people depending upon the coin that you choose. So these are all things you have to be careful about. I mean, if, for example, if Jeff Bezos went and dumped, he owns 16% of Amazon, if he went and dumped all 16% of Amazon tomorrow, the stock would tank. Well, one, he's not allowed to, because he has to tell the government, say, hey, I'm going to unload this much of my stock because, well, I'm a managing director of the company, I'm the CEO. And then they say, okay, well, let us know when you're going to do that. So people know when it's happening. In Bitcoin, that's not the case, okay? So this isn't saying don't buy Bitcoin. Nowhere in here did I say don't buy Bitcoin. I'm just simply saying these are some concerns that you should absolutely have if you choose to invest in Bitcoin. And I understand, I know what you're thinking. That's great, Jared. I don't care. The thing's just gone straight up. It's up to $50,000, $60,000. Yeah, I know it pulled back to 30,000. I mean, heck, wasn't there a buy the pullback, a little hashtag on Twitter not too long ago? I get it. Everybody wants to get rich quick. But the question then becomes, at what cost? At what cost? At the cost of possibly blowing up your entire portfolio? So what I want to do here, guys, in a second is move over to the charts. I want to take a look at the chart, okay, so you guys can see, is this a smart investment or not? And I'm going to give you a little hint. I'm not against Bitcoin. I'm not for Bitcoin. I am indifferent to Bitcoin. But I will say this, do not put your life savings in any one investment. That's just foolish in general, particularly something that's new like Bitcoin. You're like, it's not new, Jared. It's been around 10 or 15 years. Well, compared to other currencies, that's a very short period of time, and there's still a lot we don't know about it, all right? So let's head over to the charts, take a look at the chart, and then we'll find out, is Bitcoin really worth buying? All right, guys. So like we talked about, the whole point here is to say, is Bitcoin a good investment? Is it a good trading product? Is it a good long-term hold product? Now, obviously, people are going to say, well, I bought this 3 years ago and now I've made tons of money. There's always going to be that segment of people. Okay, that's just something you can't get away from. Okay. There are people that bought Amazon in 1997, 1998, right? And they're feeling good right now. The question is, going forward, just because somebody else made money previously doesn't mean going forward it's a great investment. So right here in front of you guys, I have the Gbtc daily chart, okay? And this basically tracks Bitcoin in general, all right? And you'll notice here, last year, Bitcoin actually did pretty well, right? I mean, the thing went up from April of last year, it went up from like $7. By the end of the year, it was up to $20. Well, 300% is pretty damn good. But the problem is that doesn't excite all you get-rich-quick people out there. And I'm here to tell you that it's really hard to get rich quick. That's why so few people do it. So if you're trying to buy Bitcoin to get rich quick, I wouldn't recommend that, but that doesn't mean you can't trade it and can't buy and hold it for a period of time. Well, from the beginning of this year, guys, Bitcoin basically has gone from that $20 to $25 area all the way up to 55, pulled back and then ripped up to 57, something like that. I mean, Bitcoin's at like 60,000 at one point, right? And you can just add a couple zeros to this chart. And then it chopped around, and now it's been falling of late. Okay, and you'll notice if we look at the chart in technical terms, what we have is a stage 2 uptrend right here, like stage 1 consolidation, stage 2 uptrend, and then what do we have? Double, triple top right there, okay, and then we pull back to support at that $40 or $40,000 area, pretty much above, anything from 35 to 40,000, and then it broke below it. Now, the last bastion of support for this thing is the 28,000 area. And obviously, you can see it bounced really heavy off that area. But if it gets under 28,000, you're going to be in trouble on Bitcoin. It's probably going to go down to 20,000, maybe 15,000. Okay, so here's my general take on Bitcoin. I'm going to go to the weekly chart for a second. All right. There are absolute spikes, as you saw in 2018, right? Nobody cares, nobody cares, nobody cares, right? That's the mentality or the emotion of a stage 1. Nobody cares. And then when it starts to rip, the volume pumps up, the stock moves higher, and then you get to that V top, that climactic top, and then things get really bad and they pull back. Well, I believe, in my opinion, we're pretty much there again. So notice over here, Bitcoin went up to 30, 40,000 and just pulled back, popped, pulled back. I think we're at that point. Some of you are looking at this $30 area, this $30,000 price point as an area to buy. And I think you should actually buy some in this area, but I think you're also going to see the 20,000 level touched again. And I think that that's an area you want to buy some more. So if you look at this chart right in between that $17 and $20 area, okay, that's another buy point for Bitcoin. And I talked about it earlier, and I'm not going to rehash it. Okay, there are definitely regulatory concerns about Bitcoin. It's not FDIC approved. The government's trying to step in and tax it. They want you reporting anything over $10,000. I mean, isn't that the whole point of Bitcoin, is to be anonymous, right? So the governments can't control you. I get all that. But the other aspect of this is, just like Apple, just like Tesla, Apple's pulled back from its highs. Tesla's pulled back huge from its highs. When your Uber driver, your taxi driver, the guy at the supermarket's talking about it, when you're at a restaurant and people are like, oh yeah, I invested in Bitcoin, you know you're near the top. Okay, now I understand we've pulled back quite a bit from there. So the general rule is you can buy some right here. I think that's a good idea, actually. And I think you're going to see a bigger pullback. So don't be surprised if you buy some Bitcoin and it pulls back a little bit more. I think that will happen. And then you can buy some more on the way down. But here's the rub. I would not be putting more than 10% of your portfolio in Bitcoin. If you have a $100,000 portfolio, I think $10,000 is the maximum amount you should invest in Bitcoin. Okay, if you have $1 million portfolio, 50 to 100,000. If you have a $1,000 portfolio, and if it's the last money you have, then I wouldn't put more than $100 into it. Now, if you have some play money, some speculation money is what I like to call it, then I think you can put some of that into Bitcoin. But do not put your entire portfolio into Bitcoin hoping, that you're going to be the Winklevoss twins, okay, or hoping that you're going to be Elon Musk, or hoping you're going to get rich quick. It doesn't happen that way. Okay, so that's kind of what I wanted to impart in you guys. When you look at the chart, it's clearly going through that stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and now it's a stage 4. Okay, right now, you're on the weekly chart, you're in a stage 4 downtrend. All right, it's going to continue lower till it hits support around that $10 to $20 mark, the $15 to $20,000 mark. So buy some up in that area and then watch it bounce back up. Okay, so again, to recap quickly, yes, you can buy some Bitcoin here and now. That's fine. Expect lower prices, okay, before it bounces. Buy some on the way down, but never, ever put more than 5 to 10% of your portfolio into something that's this speculative. Don't kid yourself. It absolutely is. It's utter speculation. It's based upon nothing but thin air. Your opinion that it's going to go higher, my opinion that it may not go higher. That's all it's based on. Why would you back the truck up and invest or risk your life savings on that? I wouldn't, okay? So I'm Jared Wesley of Live Traders. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on Bitcoin. If you have questions, you can shoot me an email at jared@livetraders.com. Don't forget to hit the subscribe, the like button, the click notifications. I'll see you guys again next time.